I recently read the very popular book Attached by Amir Levine and Rachel Heller. The authors have included in the book observations from extensive research and studies done on attachment styles in intimate relationships. The premise for the book was the attachment theory by psychologist John Bowlby, who defined attachment as a lasting psychological connectedness between human beings. He was mostly interested in understanding the attachment between children and their primary caregivers. His work then inspired another psychologist, Mary Ainsworth, in her groundbreaking study known as the Strange Situation. In the Strange Situation experiment, researchers observed children between 12 and 18 months old as they responded to a situation in which they were briefly left alone and then reunited with their mothers. From this study, Ainsworth identified 3 attachment styles: avoidant, where the child displayed no sign of distress when the mother left and little to no interest upon the mother's return; resistant, the child displayed intense distress when separated from their mother, but resisted contact with her when she came back; and secure, when the child displayed distress when the mother left, but was happy and went back to their positive attitude when the mother returned. Our attachment style has a decisive power over our intimate relationships and friendships, but as it turns out, it can also affect the way we perform in the workplace. As much as we like to think that our success at work depends solely on our technical abilities, that is actually only a part of it. The way we get along and work with our colleagues is very important in determining our success in the workplace, and much of how we relate to others is explained by the attachment theory. Some of the first researchers who applied Bowlby's attachment theory in the workplace, Cindy Hazen and Philip Shaver, in 1990, found that the same attachment dynamics as in early childhood and intimate relationships are present in our relationships at work. In 2018, a review article explored the research done on the impact that attachment theory has on organizational behavior. The review revealed 3 main practical implications for organizations. 1. Attachment needs in the workplace are important for employees. As such, they are fundamental to the success of the organization. 2. Leadership intervention with a proclivity for attachment is strongly suggested. And 3. Attachment theory should be considered for job design and organizational support. They concluded that employees seek stable and secure relationships with other people, with groups, and with the organization for which they work. Let's first see what each of these attachment styles are like and how they show up in the workplace. The first, the avoidant attachment style, is often present in people who tend to downplay or dismiss their emotions completely. The typical avoidant is the individual who is highly independent and self-reliant and afraid of vulnerability and intimacy. Some signs of the avoidant attachment style include extreme self-reliance and independence, difficulty seeking support and admitting that they need help when they do, tendency to view themselves in a positive light and others in a negative one, and afraid of intimacy shown in their maintaining or increasing their distance with others when others try to get closer emotionally. Someone with an avoidant attachment style in the work setting thinks that they are super smart and everyone else is not as smart as them. They do what they think that they should do, regardless of what others might require of them. They don't admit that they need help with something, leading to potential wasted time and missed deadlines, or working long hours to do the work that they deem as the most important and the work that is required of them to do. They do not seek closeness with their colleagues. When a leader has an avoidant attachment style, they withdraw emotionally from their subordinates and colleagues, which makes them feel neglected and abandoned. The anxious attachment style is generally present in people who have an extra sensitive nervous system. The typical anxious person is the individual who is always scared that something is going wrong. Signs of the anxious attachment style include putting a lot of effort into relationships to the extent of self-sacrifice, difficulty when faced with criticism and rejection, tendency to view others positively and themselves negatively, and catastrophic thinking. An anxious individual is usually worried about upsetting others or doing anything that might damage their relationships. They are constantly seeking approval. They try very hard to be liked by others, which is why they also avoid expressing their opinion. And if anything at all were to happen, like if their boss did not speak to them in the hall or they made a mistake in their work, they tend to jump to negative conclusions and obsess over them. In the same way, an anxious leader is often seeking validation and approval, seeming needy to their staff. The secure attachment style is typical for people who trust others easily. The typical secure individual is the one who is attuned to their emotions, can easily attune to the emotions of others, and can easily communicate their thoughts and feelings. The signs of secure attachment style include feeling comfortable both in relationships and on their own, handles conflict in a calm manner, maintains a balanced sense of self and confidence, and comfortable with intimacy. A securely attached person at work is comfortable prioritizing tasks accordingly and can recognize when they need help and will ask for it. They are also not scared about setting boundaries or worried that their opinion might get rejected, so they communicate freely at work. Securely attached individuals make the best leaders because they can focus on their work and still be sensitive to the needs of their staff. A securely attached leader shows their concern for their employees' well-being, and it is their consistent support that can make the employees feel safe. When the leader is not consistent with their care and support, the anxious employee can become more needy, and the avoidant employee can become even more distant. The avoidant and anxious attachment styles tend to lead to conflict, and at the same time, they are not the best at resolving conflict. A study found that anxious and avoidant people use fewer positive conflict resolution tactics, express more aggression, and tend more toward withdrawal and escalation of conflict compared to secure people. Securely attached people do not avoid conflict and are very effective in resolving it. It is worth noting that in different situations, different projects, or with different people in the organization, we might display characteristics of different attachment styles. Nevertheless, we should aim toward the secure attachment style, and it has been shown that attachment styles can well change in time. So, if we tend to be more anxious or avoidant in our attachment style, what can we do to become more secure? If we have the avoidant attachment style, we could start by acknowledging that other people might be right. It might be a struggle to get an avoidant to change their beliefs altogether, like agreeing that their superior or colleague knows better than them, to put tasks into their right priority, but listening to them and doing what they say should be done could lead to meeting a deadline or could lead to better work. And this outcome should help in shifting our perspective from viewing others in a negative light towards a more harmonious collaboration with others. For the anxious attachment style, the anxious person perceives a lot of situations as threats, so what helps is learning to calm down the nervous system. And then, once they're at a place where something happening doesn't trigger them, they can respond to the situation at hand. To calm down our nervous system, we can engage in positive self-talk, which is important for anybody really to do. Something that helps with this is setting boundaries. If, for example, we notice that at any point during the day when we receive an email, we get triggered to think negative thoughts, we could check our email only twice a day, in the morning and at the end of the day. Something else that we can do to help calm down our nervous system is to seek the support of others around us. It could be a colleague we have a closer relationship with, or it could well be a support group. What both avoidant and anxious people can do to become more secure is learn to communicate effectively. There are 3 steps that can help us do that. First, we should ask ourselves the question, why do we feel triggered? In a particular situation or with a particular colleague or a group of colleagues, what exactly makes us want to avoid it or what makes us anxious? Second, having identified what triggers us, we should be able to pinpoint what it is that would make us feel more secure or simply less prone to withdraw or become anxious. And third, we could write a short script in our head or down on paper to address with people that are concerned what makes us avoidant or anxious and what we would need to feel safer. If there are several things that trigger us, then we can just pick one and then go from there. Even though the secure attachment style is the one we should aim for, there are a couple of pitfalls we should look out for. The first one is asking for feedback. A secure person could go on relying on the status quo, thinking that if their boss or colleague thought that they should do something else or do it differently, they would have told us. which is not necessarily the case. Even though we can go around every day asking for feedback, we can do so on a regular basis, even if it is just in the form of checking in. The second pitfall is dismissing a change in the usual dynamics in the workplace by claiming that it doesn't have anything to do with us. If, for example, our conversation with our boss seems to have died down lately, we should reach out and check in with our boss. In this sense, our behaviors are not who we are. They are the reactions of our attachment style. Knowing that we can slowly but surely change our attachment style should make us hopeful that it is possible for us to change it. But we have to put in some conscious effort. It is up to us to do that. Now we know which is our attachment style. Maybe we can also understand the reason why we have this attachment style. We can make a list of the characteristics of our attachment style that make our life more difficult, and then find the way to change them to go toward the secure attachment style. One very helpful thing that we can do is spend time with people who are securely attached, from whom we can draw out their secure behaviors. Then we can actively replace our avoidant or anxious behaviors with healthier and more secure ones. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you find this helpful, and I will see you in the next video.